thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to talk about the Pan-Asian light cruisers a little bit. I can't play them, but I can take a look at their armor layout and, all the different stats related to them. This is a future line. I believe it will be, so it's early access right now, 10/10. That means that super testers and CCs can test it off stream and off a video. I think 10/11 might be when they intend for it to actually come out from pre to early access so that you can do some type of event. So think about Christmas time. There might be some type of way to obtain these guys early. Obviously the tier 10, you won't be able to do that. But the tier 10, as you can see, is quite clearly designed to look like a tier 10 Atlanta. Let's take a look at its armor. And I guess, we should do this too. We should, let me get the Atlanta over here just for comparison's sake, because we all know that the Atlanta is the other ship that is being discussed here. I mean, it's quite clear that they're copying it. Hide suitable. I only want to see you. There we go. All right, so if we take a look at the Austin, yeah, I mean, it's like the Austin too. I just don't have it. If we take a look at the Atlanta has super light armor all the way around with the Citadel that's on the outside of the ship. And if we look at the tier 10, well, we have a very similar story. We have super light armor, especially in the bow and the stern. The side of it is 32, so pretty much high explosive, Yamato armor piercing. There's a lot of different shell types that can easily deal with this sap. This is nothing to sap, of course. It does have a Citadel on the outside of the ship at 95 millimeters. Isn't the Colombo sap high enough that it can actually pin that? I swear that the Colombo sap is high enough. Yeah, it is. So any 380, let's get that off the screen. So any 380 to 381 plus sap shells will automatically Citadel the tier 10 Pan-Asian, the Jinan, I think. Yeah, just enough armor penetration that if you are broadside to sap, it will Citadel you like it's regular AP. So that is a very noticeable vulnerability with the Citadel. Obviously, the lower the Citadel armor, the easier it is for people to penetrate, goes without saying. But certain extreme examples will allow for that to happen more frequently than others, obviously. Let's take a look at the Citadel itself. Oh, God, this is just like a walking Citadel. Very easy to punish. Very, very easy to punish. Yeah, I mean, Thunderer can already pin it. It doesn't even need IFHE. Thunderer has like 104, 114 high explosive penetration, so it don't need that to even pin that. So very vulnerable to those types of ships. It has 30,000 life. Wow. Okay. So this ship that has a Citadel has the same amount of hit points as the Ragnar that has no Citadel. That's insane. It only has 4% torpedo protection, basically no torpedo protection. This is just a glass cannon sailing around, man. Wow. I don't know about this ship. It has 10 127 millimeter guns. These are the American, I believe. Yeah, it looks like American. So lobbing. So the idea of this is a lot of island camping. Definitely want to hug the island. 13.5 kilometer gun range is absolutely pathetic. Now, they do have deep water torpedoes, and the deep water torpedoes are midship, so that means that the torpedo arc is pretty much very easy to access, 1-to-1. This has, it looks like it has, wow, it has 20 deep water torpedoes. These deep water torpedoes go 69 knots in the water. Nice. 0.8 kilometer detection, and every ship except for subs and DDs can be targeted by them. 13.5 kilometer range, so these are the same torpedoes that you can find on the Yueyang. It's a lot of torpedoes. Depth charges, you know, it has depth charges. It looks like it just has regular depth charges, no ASW, no airstrike depth charges, so it's going to be harder to deal with submarines. AA defense is, you know, really good for its size, and it'll be easy. It'll be a challenge to deal with. How many explosive? It has 8 flak bursts at 90% from 3.5 to 6. Okay, okay. Continuous is all right. Maneuverability, it's pretty fast actually. 35 knots in the water is one of the fastest cruisers in the game. Its turning radius is really sharp, so this is going to be a really effective active dodging ship to my eye. 7.7 base rudder shift. That's pretty good. Yeah, this is going to be really nimble. With concealment 12.5. Oh, what can we make the concealment actually? Now let's take a look at the equipment. Wow, this is fully loaded down as a light cruiser could ever be. It has torpedo reload booster. Do not get caught out by this with torpedoes. That's all I'm saying. This is going to spam a anti-torpedo lane if there's any battleships trying to move forward. It's got defensive AA, which, you know, it's an average defensive AA. It's not improved. It has smoke, which is very nice. Smoke will pair very well with these guns. It's going to be really tough to find it in smoke. Let's see. We're going to go with gun accuracy just because. Yeah, 40 torpedoes in the water are potentially on the table. Since it has smoke, I probably would go propulsion mod. That does mean that your maneuverability is not going to be completely improved, but playing your throttle in smoke is more important. Now, there is a good question here. Would you go gun reload or would you go for gun range? Now, I'm going to build my commander the way I would build my commander. It seems that they want you to go a torpedo build. Wow. Would I go a torpedo build on this? 10.1? It doesn't even have the, yeah. Let's go a torpedo build. It is a huge, interesting. This is like an oversized DD, honestly, the way it might be played. We're going to put the stripes on. Yeah, it looks good. It looks really nice. I really like the colors that they have for the Pan Asian. 9.8 is the maximum concealment that it can get to. So 9.8, and its smoke firing penalty is 5.6. Yeah, that's great. This will be a very interesting ship in smoke firing situations. Obviously, it's going to be vulnerable to radar, Petros, Des Moines, you know, Montana, GK, anything with big guns or a radar equipped. It's going to want to avoid like the plague. But its torpedo systems are really impressive, actually. It has 13.5 kilometer range torpedoes, 3.8 main battery reload. It has a pretty high fire chance, honestly, 9%, so it will light a lot of fires. AP is obviously really low. It's 21% armor penetration with its HE. I guess you could spec into IFHE, but then you would knock your fire chance way low. I don't know that you want to do that. If the target's broadside, you can always fire AP because these are American guns. They're going to drop down. So you really don't need IFHE, if I'm being honest. Interesting equipment. It's got, God, it's gonna just spam the torpedo. This is a first. This is sort of a cruiser line that's built around torpedoes, and the guns are sort of an afterthought. Obviously, you can easily farm in smoke. What can you get these torpedo reload down to? Oh, it's still really crappy torpedo reload. Ugh. I don't like that. I'm sure the guns need to be enhanced because I'm sure 3.5 is already too long on its gun range. Just a little bit of tidbit. This is going to be really satisfying to see the 13.5 torpedo and gun range because they are 1-to-1, so you're just going to have one line on your map. 3.3. And the reason I say that it's an afterthought is because it's a glass cannon. It's a very, very, very glass cannon ship. So it's going to be very vulnerable to anyone shooting at it, and people will learn that, so they will just shoot at you. So the only time you really want to be openly firing is in smoke or behind an island. And if you're behind an island, you can't use your torpedoes. So it's probably going to be in smoke, and if you're in smoke, the smoke is, it'll last for, okay, so smoke will last 1-to-1 with its reload, the base reload. So you could perpetually have smoke activated. So smoke will last 100 seconds, a 100-second reload on smoke. So it will come up as the previous smoke is dissipating. So similarly to the Pan-Asian DD line, you could kind of play that way, where you just put a smoke up the whole time. Normally, it's not really recommended because people will key off of that and then they will push you and punish you. But the fact that you can do it in certain situations where maybe it's a battleship, maybe the battleship is bearing down on you, there's no radar ships whatsoever, and you can't afford to get away because you can't get away. So instead, you just hunker down inside of smoke and you reactivate it on cooldown until that target is taken care of. You would never be seen unless he's within 5.6 kilometers of your ship. So if you ever are seen, you got more issues than that. Okay. But it does look like the deep water torpedoes and the guns are, it's kind of more of the Yue Yang. It has the 127s, it has the deep water torpedoes, it has a smoke option. Obviously you can't choose radar here, but I think that's okay. It's going to be interesting. It's very, very, very glass cannon. And that's the tier 10. The next one is Dalian. This one looks like a Soviet cruiser already. It's even equipped with Soviet. It's even equipped with Soviet little life boats. So I would imagine it has really high gun velocity and really bad reload. It has really high gun velocity at 950 meters per second. So these are the Soviet 130 millimeter guns. Its AP is actually really good. Its HE is less good, but still good enough. It has 22 millimeters of penetration on its HE, just barely higher because of the slight increase. The turret traverse is really nice at 9 seconds. I believe that was really nice too. Yeah, really fast turret traverse. So both so far, very fast. Let's take a look at the armor. What armor? Ooh. So this will be immune to sap. Sap will not be able to penetrate this. The Thunder 457 HE, though, will Citadel. But the Italian cruisers will not be as, completely broken against the ship as the tier 10. Let's hide the armor. Where is it exactly? Citadel looks just, it's so high in the water, man. It's going to be punished so hard. So high in the water. And you know what? One thing is worrying me right now as I look at this. Why is the armor so low on the guns? It feels like that's kind of an oversight. These guns are going to break so easily. If I'm in a situation where I'm going up against this ship and I have no way of getting away from the guns, I might just shoot them to break them completely. They have no armor, so they will break very easily. This has less health than the Tier 9 by 3,000. It has the exact same torpedo protection of 4%, which might as well not have. It has the same gun range at 13.5. So this will have higher gun velocity, but the exact same gun range as the Tier 10. So it's kind of played similarly but differently. I guess it's probably going to not be camping behind islands as frequently. It has 6 torpedoes per side instead of the 10 of the Tier 10. It's the slower torpedoes, worse detection. Do they do less damage? Yeah, they do. Wow. What? So these torpedoes are slower, easier to see, they do less damage, and they have less range. But at least they have faster reload, right? I don't know why I would want these torpedoes. This is like completely different from the Tier 10. The Tier 10 was all about playing it like an oversized DD. This one is more like playing maybe like a Russian cruiser at range. You spam and smoke and you send torpedoes, but you don't rely on them to do any damage. They're more for like screening. Depth charges. Bombs in a charge. I think the depth charges are dropped off the back. Let me just double check the icon. Yeah. Once again, you have to drive over your target in order to use it. What? Why does it have hydro? What is going on? Defensive AA is worse in 2 ways. It has forced hydroacoustic. You can't choose defensive AA. And it has weaker AA overall. So that's going to be frustrating for players. I can already see how this line is going to be... ooh, nice. 6.9 second rudder shift. A little bit tighter turn radius. A little bit slower, but not by much. It's within the same type of, you know. Concealment is 11 kilometers. You could absolutely stealth torpedo these. We're going to equip equipment on it to see how it would shake out. It's so weird that it has hydro and not defensive, or defensive and not hydro. I definitely think this is going to be gun focused. Once again... Oh, by the way, guys, can I just say, notice the consumable order. We have damage control, we have repair party, we have hydroacoustic, and we have smoke generator. On the Tier 10, we have damage control, smoke party, defensive AA, torpedo reload booster, and repair party. Almost exactly the opposite order. I already hate this. I really hope that they unify the line so that the buttons are in the same place. That's one thing I'll criticize you wargaming on. We will put this concealment module. I feel like the gun range is going to be frustrating for players to play. Wow, the concealment is going to be ridiculous on this, isn't it? .9 kilometer concealment. Okay. What is the detection of the ship? Guns are firing 4.9. Wow, okay. You can reorder it, but they should just reorder it themselves. It doesn't make any sense that it's this way. That's just all I'm saying. You know, I'm just going to go gun reload. I think that, you know, maybe gun range might be more appealing on this one than gun reload, but I do think that, you know, it's 8.9 detection. It's going to be really good at killing DDs because it will surprise them. It won't have radar, of course, but if it goes with someone else, it'll be outstanding. The dispersion is 117, so it's similar to the tier 10. Okay. Well, you know, the skin looks cool. Overall, I think it keeps with the theme. I'm not sure what faction this is normally associated with. Oh, this is China. Okay. The People's Republic of China. Okay. So that's going to be China, and this is going to be Taiwan. Okay. Okay, so the tier 10 is a Taiwanese design. Well, it's an American design that Taiwan owns. And the tier 9 is going to be a China design, a Russian design that's being used by China. Let's go to the tier 8. Tier 8 looks like a continuation of that Russian design. Let's look at the equipment as well. Once again, we reoriented in a completely reverse order for no reason at all. Oh, man. Wargaming. Wargaming, wargaming. Okay, so the tier 8 Russian ship is like the tier 10, but the tier 9 Russian ship is completely different from the tier 8 or the tier 10. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Completely makes perfect sense. There doesn't seem to be any range upgrades on the tier 9 for some reason, so does that mean it's a premium? Anyway, we're gonna look at the survivability of the ship. Oh god, this has way better torpedo protection. 25% torpedo protection. No armor once again. Once again, it has the Russian 100mm Citadel protection. So once again, this is immune to 380 and 381 sap. It is not, however, immune to 406 sap, nor is it immune to a high explosive from the Thunder or the Conqueror, I believe. And you don't even need IFHE to do that. So definitely, if you have one of those ships, fire at it. Hit points is now 26,500. This could literally play against the Ragnar, and the Ragnar would have 5,000 more life than it with no Citadel. That's very interesting. As far as artillery, it has 5x2, 130. Obviously, you can see the gun turrets. Now, this makes more sense. 35mm of armor on these turrets is what I would expect versus the 13 on the tier 10. Feels like, 13 on the tier 9. Tier 9 feels like it's not all the way done. Once again, this has deep water torpedoes. Once again, its Citadel is above the waterline, easily punished, and once again, my game crashes or is slowing down. So, you know, obviously, deep water torpedoes will be used against cruisers and battleships and aircraft carriers and... Come on, game. Really? Are you gonna crash while I'm doing this game? Really? Anyway, deep water torpedoes, midship, 6 on each side, same as the tier 9. Yeah, the water is beautiful. Then we got depth charges, which are, you know, thrown off the back again. AA protection is not very good. It's got 4 flak bursts. The tier 8 cruiser, not impressed by that. It does have defensive AA, but it's weird that it has defensive AA and it's Russian. I am confused by that. 6.9 rudder shift once again, same as the tier 9. And the concealment is actually worse than the tier 9. Nice. Nice. So the tier 9 can get down to 8.9. The tier 8 is... I'm just equipping it. Tier 8, now it's a smoke play, so we're going with that. Tier 8 can get its concealment down to, I think it's in like 9.5-ish. Here it increases, it encourages you to go torpedo. 9.8. Okay, 9.8, 8.9, 9.8. Huh. Weird. It's a weird design. What is the gun? These 130s have a 5.4 kilometer detection. The tier 9s have like a 4.9. These ships read like they have been worked on by different people. I think Wargaming, if I were to critique it, I think you need to update it so that all of the ships feel like they've been worked on the same person. So I would order the consumables to mirror the tier 10 and the tier 8. I think that would go a long way to making it feel better. I would also try and align the concealment so it's a gradual increase. I understand that it's two formerly Soviet ships and an American ship, and that's why the difference exists. But I think that overall the line itself should be a little bit more consistent going up, just for the sake of everyone. GT, take care. And if we go with our camouflage, let's put the camouflage on. Oh, there's no premium camouflage available for it so far, so I can't preview that. The concealment is 9.5, yes. So 9.5 is the concealment on the tier 8. Interesting. And, you know, it has gun velocity, but it doesn't have any gun range. So, oh, actually, the gun velocity does take a dip. It's 870 instead of 950. Man, these are just going to be so tricky to play. And the last one that they have is the tier 6. The torpedo range is 10 kilometers. The tier 6, this is the Dido. That's going to be a premium British light cruiser. You can see sort of the, I want to say Jervis or Lightning guns here. So these should be, okay, so these are 133. Okay. It has 11.4 range. Let me just make sure the equipment is updated. 12.5 is what you can get it up to. This is, the consumables are oriented based off of the tier 10 and the tier 8. So that's good, at least. Some line consistency there. Let's make sure the engine room... And once again, it is a smoker, so I would totally encourage 23,000 life as a tier 6. 4% torpedo protection. Oh boy. It's just like a huge DD, isn't it? It's got a giant nose of 13. 89 millimeter Citadel. So the 380 SAP will be able to punch right through this and Citadel it. So you want to be cautious against Italian battleships. The Citadel itself is, it's lower, but it's still above the waterline, so it will definitely be punished. Once again, these guns have no armor, so I'm confused why they have the same armor as the rest of the ship. Normally, the armor is higher on guns for obvious reasons. So it has 5.3 kilometer, 5.3 second reload. Torpedoes are... Okay, so the torpedoes are here, so there's 3 torpedoes per side. 9.5 kilometer range, 61 knots in the water. Okay. Very fast reload, 72 seconds. So you could conceivably send these on cooldown, which, you know, that would be a good screening tool. Depth charges, once again, you have to drive over your target. Once again, that's a weakness, of course. Defensive AA, well, the AA itself is... I guess it's okay for the tier, but it's nothing to write home about if you're going up against a tier 8 aircraft carrier, which you will definitely face in this. Speed 32.3 knots. That's pretty good. 580 meter turning radius and 6.5 second rudder. So these are going to be great active dodgers. Great active dodging. You'll have to active dodge because they will definitely pick on you. 10.3 kilometer detection. base, if we equip it with flags, and this should be Taiwan, yeah, it should be Taiwan. 10-kilometer, and then let's go with a commander, because, you know, everyone has 21-point commanders. That's what they would always use, every single time, of course. 9.0 kilometer detection. Okay. So 9.0 with a range of 12.5. And the gun velocity is American and, you know, British, so it's lobbing shells over islands, which, you know, these guys are going to be smoke and on the other side of islands, lobbing their shells on targets. So that'll be pretty cool if you like that sort of gameplay. Once again, the equipment, you know, it's what I expect based on the tier 10 and based on the tier 8. It's not what I expect based on the tier 9. So overall, the Pan-Asian light cruiser line, it looks to be a pretty fast-firing Atlantis-style ship line. The HE penetration is really low on them. So this is going to have a little bit more nuance. Now, you could obviously go IFHE and boost the penetration a little bit. Where's IFHE? But honestly, I don't really know if that's good enough. I'm just gonna equip it just so I can see what it gets up to. It gets up to 23 millimeters of penetration. So yeah, these guys are gonna be, they're gonna play like a DD with their guns, but they're going to feel like a cruiser. Because everyone is going to pin every bit of this ship and citadel it constantly. This is going to be a glass cannon if I've ever seen it. Like, absolutely a glass cannon line. It'll rain shells down, but man, is it going to be punished so hard from players. That's the thing that's the scariest, is it just is really easy to punish. So no, I have to play these guys. I can't really say that I'm looking forward to an Atlantis-style line. I know there are players out there who are, so this will be something that they will be looking forward to. I do think that the tier 10 looks pretty beastly between the amount of torpedoes it carries and the amount of guns that it has and its concealment. Boy, if you get like caught out by this thing, it'll kill you really fast as a DD. But again, 21 millimeters of HE penetration. That is a really tough sell when you're going up against the Ragnar or the Elbing or any number of ships, any other light cruiser, any other, because they're just not going to have the penetration. So you're going to rely on fire chance or AP broadside. I think it's around the same pin as the Austin, but it doesn't have sap, mind you. Sap has an artificial increase to penetration. So you can use your high explosive or your sap on the Austin, and if you need extra penetration, that's what sap is for. On the Pan-Asian line, they do not come with sap. They only have armor piercing. So it will be something with a lot of nuance that the player base will obviously learn in time. I think these guys are destined to be shot at frequently and explode spectacularly. I don't have the Austin nuke, but it will be, you know, it's going to be an interesting line. I think that it'll be nice to experience something like this and see if the the deep water torpedo is valuable enough to bring in a group. But, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't have radar. It doesn't have gun velocity or gun range. So this is going to be playing up close with low gun velocity, and it has a citadel. So it's just going to be really challenging for players to play if they are not completely hidden behind islands or in smoke. But the smoke does exist basically perpetually. that is kind of the Pan-Asian trait. So I assume these guys will make full use of that, and I will look forward to testing it on my own. And yeah, we'll see how this turns out. And that was sort of my first look at these guys. They just popped up on my account a couple days ago, so I was curious to check them out. So, you know, tell me what you guys think of this, and whether you have any interest in it. I'd be curious to hear, like, whether people actually want this type of line.